There's two particular things that you need to be aware of as you get started in this business. Number one, there's not one product to fit all solutions on the market. Let's take final expense, for example. That's what I do for a living. I sit down with people who are in all sorts of different health shapes. They're healthy, they're not so healthy, they're literally on their deathbeds at times. And if I sell one particular product, and I'm not necessarily dogging on one product, it could be any of them. But if I push that one particular product, given enough presentations, I can tell you that that particular product is not going to be the most suitable in terms of price or coverage for that client. So what happens if you don't adhere to this concept? Well, the reality is that insurance sales is just like many other businesses. It's more competitive. There's more people alive now, which means there's going to be more people in the business just by default. And you're going to be replaced. And not only are you going to be replaced and lose that income and renewal stream, you're also not going to get the sales opportunities that you may run into that you could have gotten if you were independent. So let me give you a couple examples, really just what I experienced in the field last week writing insurance as an independent agent. So the first thing are health issues. So I ran into a couple of cases last week where I had clients who had COPD, I had clients who had blood thinners, and also had clients who had neurological problems. And knowing my competition, especially the ones who are captive, they would not have taken those policy holders or those clients as first day full coverage, whereas the agents or the carriers that I work with did. So how does that actually all play out? Well, so first of all, by selling them preferred coverage, you maximize your commission. You see, with other captive companies, what you'll find is that their actual payout commission is much lower because all they can offer is what's called a modified plan, which doesn't even cover the client for the first 2 years. So not only are they not getting full coverage, okay, you're putting your client into an inferior product, you're also getting paid half of the commission in many cases, sometimes less, depending on the mode of payment. Some of these captive companies don't even pay full commission if they pay with a direct express card versus a banking account. And so as the old Chinese proverb says, a death by 1,000 paper cuts. This is how you lose out on revenue and gross profit because the company's terms of how they do business and because you're captive. And there's no way around this. So I would have made, literally in this particular circumstance, hundreds if not thousands of dollars less in combined first year commission and renewals because I would have not either made the sale because I would have to try to sell something inferior as far as a 2-year wait versus a full coverage product. And I may have just missed out on the sales. So that's why you got to be mindful of this getting into this business. And again, this is final expense, but this can definitely relate to term insurance sales. Maybe it's somebody with the different levels of depression. Some companies are against that. Some companies are more supportive of it. It's not necessarily exclusive to final expense. It's true. Take disability sales, for example. Some are more comfortable with blue-collar professions versus those who are only wanting white-collar professions. And if you push one product, you're only stuck with that one product. And you'll invariably lose more coverage or sell an inferior product because of that. Built into that, the second reason why it's bad to sell captive as a captive agent is because what you'll find is that your pricing is usually not the most competitive. Take again in the final expense business, this particular captive company I'm speaking of, as well as pretty much all of the captive companies that sell final expense products are designed to be a higher priced product. Why is that? I don't know. It's not because the underwriting is liberal or because the policies are simplified. That doesn't make any sense because in the independent world, they're all less expensive and they're very liberal, even many times much more liberal than these overpriced captive companies. But the reality is you have to understand the market you're selling to. So in the final expense business, we sell to people who are on a fixed income, retired, or disabled. And if you're walking in there with the highest priced product, you may only be able to offer them half of the coverage that they need to cover their final expenses. And you're going to have to really cajole them into buying from you. And maybe they will, but then you've got another 3 or 6 months that you will have another agent in the door because the client never really was settled with what you sold them. And when I show up and sell them double the coverage for the same price, they'll be a fool not to take it. In fact, probably 7 or 8 out of 10 people that I present that have these captive products buy. And it's not because I'm some sort of final expense grand poobah. I'm not some genius here. It's an obvious advantage to the client to get more coverage for the same price, and in many cases fully cover them, whereas they had a 2-year wait. Again, you can expand this out to any profession or any product. You sell term insurance, and if somebody came in here and said, hey Dave, you can double your term insurance, you can take it from $1 million to $2 million and not pay any more money, I will want to do that because I love my family. I want to make sure I leave them with the most death benefit that I can, barring there's some problem with these companies, but in many cases that's just not the case. So this is why being captive literally shortchanges your economic opportunity. You can be a great salesperson, you can sell a lot of people, and you can be successful as a captive agent. I'm totally convinced. In fact, probably save it for another video. Some people are really designed to be captive because many of these organizations are designed to treat you like an employee, to micromanage you, to make sure you're on the Kool-Aid calls every morning at 7 and every night at 8. And look, that's good for people. Some people, not everybody. It's not good for me. And if you're even, designed in that direction to you just be adverse to that kind of, that culture of, multi-level marketing, if you will, then that's not for you and you shouldn't pursue that.